What's going on, everybody? Patriots post-game show. We've got Mike Kadlick and Taylor Kyles. Where are those guys?
There we are.
John Zannis alongside Greg Bedard.
Dig, he looked electric tonight.
It feels like they're back to a team that can really compete.
But yeah, Drake Maye, this felt like a game where he knew that he could shred this defense, and he played like it.
All right, we are back live here at Levi Stadium. Super Bowl 60 in the books, 29-13 Seahawks ends with a thud. A Patriots season that exceeded expectations. Most people didn't even have them making the playoffs. Yet here they were in the Super Bowl in a game that, Greg, at the end of the day, I actually think was winnable. Maybe if they made a few more plays, because defensively they were able to keep Sam Darnold from, getting the Seahawks on the board until, well into the second half, hold them to field goals. Offensively, just an absolute butt kicking, particularly up front, Greg. And again, moments ago, we were going over a bunch of next-gen stats just to show the level of domination here. And the Patriots just really got smoked up front. Couldn't get anything going on offense until very, very late. And at that point, it was all over. Drake Maye got sped up. He got flustered. He made mistakes. And this thing, they lost, deservedly so, the way that they did. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a couple of things stand out to me. I mean, number one, the Seattle defense just completely overwhelmed the Patriots. I mean, it's basically, and the post-game access has been really weird tonight. Like, we're not getting a lot of people like me. I'm used to getting coordinators after games, but we didn't get them. And anyways, but, texting with people from the team, I think, what stood out is the Seattle defense was really good. They did a really good job, credit to Mike Donald, sort of singling up basically making the Patriots play mano a mano, whether that was in coverage or with pressure, and you just saw the limits of where the Patriots are. I mean, the people were right. They turned out to be right. The Seahawks were much more talented than the Patriots. I saw one person on Twitter put it, I thought he put it well. The Patriots have Christian Gonzalez, and the Seahawks have like 14 dudes like Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. And, we knew a key coming into this game was they were going to have to turn Sam Darnold over.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. I mean, they got some pressure on him. There were times where Milton Williams was right in his face, couldn't bring him down.
And he put some balls at risk in the first half. It just didn't, didn't make a play.
I don't even think Sam Darnold played well in this game.
He didn't. In fact, up until Drake Maye's turnover or two, Maye had a higher passer rating in this game than it. So it was like Darnold was like, I think, again, at one point I looked at, I don't know the final numbers, but about a 50% completion. He missed about 7-8 open throws. Yeah. A better quarterback in this game would have been a 30-point game in the third quarter.
Yeah, and they needed to turn him over. They needed Drake to take care of the ball, be efficient. They needed Darnold to be turned over, and sort of the opposite happened. Yeah. And Drake Maye sort of played like Sam Darnold. Now, it's not all his fault. I mean, look, Next Gen Stats said the Seahawks hit the Patriots running backs at the line or behind the line like 55% of the time. Their pressure rate was like 54%. Will Campbell set a record for this season, I think, going back to 2018, 2019, with like 14, 15 pressures allowed. Jared Wilson got his butt kicked at times. Morgan Moses did at times. And the Seahawks just said, we're better than you guys. Go ahead, try to beat us. This is a continuation of what the whole postseason has been against really good defenses, where I think basically the bottom line was the Patriots got exposed in the postseason against really good defenses that these other teams showed they're not nearly good enough. They're not good enough up front. They're not good enough on the outside. They don't have enough special guys that can just create a big play. And so that's sort of what you got to.
Yeah, and it's across the board. And again, it's the story of the season, and people aren't going to want to hear it now because, again, this team wasn't supposed to be here, but they were here. And at that point, the expectation level changes because it's like, well, can they win this game? And the answer was maybe. They could have if they played an all-around better game. But across the board, personnel-wise, and you saw it in the Denver game too, that entire roster on the Denver side of the ball was better than the Patriots almost to a man. But the weather, Stidham, different circumstances, and they found themselves in this position.
They turned Stidham over.
To
get a touchdown.
Exactly, and that didn't happen here. And it felt like they were trying to follow this sneaky formula of we know we're not good enough. This is the only way we'll win. And they stuck to it for a while. And for a while, it looked okay. The dam didn't burst.
Right.
They just couldn't make a single play to flip the game. One shot field, one turnover, one explosive. There was no explosive runs in this game. Nothing. They weren't able to do anything. And at the end of the day, that's what it's going to come down to is personnel. You need more good players. And when we looked at this roster on paper this year, Greg, it didn't always make sense. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're pretty good, but they're not that good, are they? But they kept defying expectations and kept winning.
Yeah, and, Drake Maye got sped up in this game, and, there's sort of no coming back from that. And, you just got to try. You got to try to make some explosive plays. They just couldn't find it when they were there. Yeah. They didn't execute, and it was a little bit of like a grenade offense. Like, I asked Mike Vrabel after the game about, what was sort of the discussion with Josh McDaniels at halftime to get the offense going. And he's, he didn't answer specifically, but basically he was like, we got off to a good start in the second half. I think they got like 9 yards on the first down, and then 2nd and 1, Travion Henderson runs into the back of a
instead of that way.
Yeah, and then instead of they would have some good plays and get going, and then some sort of negative play would happen. Pressure, May would hunt to the ball, he'd take a sack, not connect on a pass, not be successful in the run game. I thought Seattle just dominated them up front. Even there, Seattle's offensive line, which I didn't think was that good, every time I was looking, they were pushing the Patriots down the field, and Kenneth Walker was MVP and ran for 140 yards. Nobody really expected that.
No, and especially early on, they had success. Then he had that drive where he bounced a couple outside. They couldn't contain there, and that got them going. But that series you mentioned, that drove me insane. 9-yard toss sweep to Henderson. Then he runs into the backside of a blocker. He's got a first down right there. Then on 3rd and 1, they call that pass play, and May misses pop there. Yep. And then they punt, which I thought also was a little bit of a curious decision at that point in the game. I felt like they really needed that first down there. Again, even despite that, they were still in this game. They're in this game. And again, was it down us score? Or they had just scored and they get the ball back, and then May just throws another brutal interception trying to force the ball.
He threw 2 punts on that drop. The first one to Hollins. To Hollins, I was like, because I was sort of working and I wasn't paying attention. I was like, was there a flag? Did he think there was defensive offside or something? Because he just threw a ball up into triple coverage, and then a couple plays later, he does it again and gets picked off.
Yeah.
I mean, he played like Sam Darnold tonight. It wasn't all his fault. But, we talked coming in. Drake Maye's got to be really good. He's got to be MVP Drake Maye, and Sam Darnold needs to get turned over. None of that happened, and that's what happened out here.
And that's it. They're here at this point. They got here because Drake Maye elevated them beyond the ordinary team that they were. And then throughout the playoffs, played average to below average for a quarterback here against defenses. And again, the narrative for Maye is going to be for the Patriots in general, but certainly for Maye, is going to be grisly this offseason. Everyone wanted to call him a poser, fake Maye, the easy schedule, all of that stuff. And then he didn't acquit himself well at all through the entire playoffs, save for a couple of really good throws in that Houston game. But it was a bad postseason. Is this, Greg, good or bad for his development? Might they have been better off going 9-7, narrowly missing the playoffs, but you see the arrow pointing up and everyone's like, all right, get him next year? Because again, now
it's the experience is too invaluable.
Yeah.
Because you expect him to be back here and he'll understand the whole thing. And, I remember getting some questions from BSJ members about this, and even I think Felger and Mess talked about it. Like if Drake Maye has a poor Super Bowl, what's going to be the storyline? And, I can already tell from looking at Twitter a little bit, it's going to be, Josh McDaniels, lack of weapons, but, people let him off the hook. He did not play well in any of the postseason games. I mean, I think he finished the postseason. I think coming in, he was like 57% completion or something. And now he's probably closer to 50% for 4 postseason games. I mean, that's just not getting it done. But I think to me, the storyline going forward needs to be they have a special kid at quarterback. He's very talented. He still doesn't know what he doesn't know. He has more to grow, but they need to support him better. Yeah. Now you need to support the quarterback. We could start. There's be a discussion about Will Campbell. Do you kick him inside? Do you start drafting a bunch of tackles? All that stuff. And Morgan Moses ain't any younger either.
That's the problem. Before we get fully into the offseason, that's the thing. This team has glaring holes still, even though they just got to the freaking Super Bowl, and you're talking about potentially both tackle positions, edge rusher, outside receiver, or maybe even two receivers, possibly two new tight ends. These are premium positions. They're not easy to acquire. You're lucky if you can get one in the draft and one in free agency per year, and they have to upgrade kind of across the board. And look, you're fine. I don't know what you think of Travion Henderson. I did not think this was a great year for him. I expected more from him. Maybe he can mature. Maybe he can learn some patience. But I thought they'd be getting a little bit more out of that pick. I don't know what you got there. I don't know what you got out of Kyle Williams. So you need to see more out of all your entire rookie class in year 2 to feel like that's a step forward before you have to figure out whether or not you need to replace those positions that you felt good about when you drafted them. So it's going to be a really interesting offseason. And I think everyone's just going to kind of be, just raging for a little while here because it was such a spectacular failure, and you all of your weaknesses were just kind of laid bare.
Yeah. And I think, what we saw tonight is a reason why the Patriots didn't do anything at the trade deadline and send draft picks out, because
you need it.
These guys, and we talked about at the trade deadline, these guys had their eyes on the horizon, not just the present. And let's say they went out and got an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Would he have made any difference in this game?
Yeah.
No, but the Patriots, this was all gravy. The team, first year, they go to the Super Bowl. They played really well. They dethroned the Bills. The Bills are starting over. Dolphins are starting over at head coach. And the Patriots have all they got here. They have all their draft picks. I'm sure they'll try to get more.
And you got the guy. You got the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You could have been in quarterback jail for 15 more years. That's the thing that you can feel good about, is that's going to be there for you. And I know, just to update everybody, we're going to do here, Greg's got to scoot in a little bit. So when you need to boogie, Greg, let us know.
About 3 minutes.
So Greg's going to take off. We got Taylor and Mike. Is Taylor here? Get him. We need him. Taylor and Mike are going to jump on. We're going to continue on wrapping up what's going to be our final Patriots post-game show of the year. Greg, any other thoughts here? Defense held up. I think they were a little bit helped by Darnold, who missed some potential throws. Carlton Davis could have given up 150 yards receiving. It felt like if Darnold hit a few throws in this game.
What's funny is, Gonzalez played really well.
He did.
But almost the first one that he broke up was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a well-thrown ball, and Gonzalez made that. The other ones that he had were... they were either underthrown, behind. Yeah. We saw that with there was an out, I think, to Cooper Kupp that I think Davis broke up.
The post at the goal line, he bit. And if that throws out in front a little bit too, but he made a play because it wasn't a perfect throw.
But, I thought Craig Woodson, the rookie, was outstanding in this game. Last time I looked, he led the team with 10 tackles, had 3 tackles for a loss, 2 passes defense. I thought Woodson was great. Yeah, I think that Milt Williams was really good in this game. You want to see him finish a couple more plays. Darnold got away
just
from him
stepped out of
times.
it. Yeah,
and burn the Patriots. When you're a team like the Patriots, you got to make all of those plays, and they couldn't turn over Darnold. But I thought they played well on defense. They definitely held the fort. They gave the team a chance, and then sort of the dam broke.
Yeah.
Jack Gibbons gets fooled on that play to Barner. He was wide open.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's also say Seattle also kicked their ass on special teams.
Yes, they did.
Myers was awesome. The punts inside, flipping the field, kick returns. Seattle just dominated in all 3 phases.
Dominated.
Just dominated.
From an approach standpoint, Greg, do you agree with the philosophy the Patriots went in, that the only way they were going to win was to – because, again, I think some people – this is, as you said, people are going to go at your favorite targets, May, Campbell, Josh. Do you think this was the blueprint? Was the blueprint just take it easy, don't turn it over, wait for that guy to screw up, our defense will keep us in it? And did they hang on to that too long? Do they need to try either different things? Who knows if they would have worked? They might just simply not have been able to, or to open it up a little bit, or just rolled it and said, Drake's going superhero mode in this game, or we're going to lose? At what point did you need to kind of maybe think that's what we got to do?
I don't know. I'm going to have to check out the film to
and
answer
I don't know,
that
because
question.
when he
But
did try to go superhero mode, it ended badly. But also at that point, the Patriots are down, and Seattle could pin their ears back and get after them.
They were trying to do that. I mean, even how poorly things were going for the offense, they were still in it, and I think they were still had designs on. Let's try to keep heating up Sam Darnold. And for a while in the first half, I was waiting for a pick six. He kept throwing the ball underneath, and they were covering. Marcus Jones was in there, Carlton Davis, Gonzalez. You thought it was coming, but it never came. And the Patriots sort of needed that play. And they even, late, they even, try to go for a punt return, hoping that Marcus Jones can make a play that gets the team going. They double the outside guys. They don't really rush, and they're hoping. They were trying to get a big play from somebody and never got a big play from anybody in all three phases of the game. And Seattle did.
And that's it. Again, there's not much else to it. It was an ass-kicking. Offense couldn't do anything. Seattle was clearly a better team. And Drake Maye wasn't able to elevate, and they lose. That's it. 29-13. I will thank Greg Bedard. Final appearance on this show, and for being with us all season long on the Patriots postgame show. Greg's got a scoot, but before he does, you should know Boston Sports Journal, again, the offseason, it's going to be a really interesting one. It's a really important draft, another important dip into free agency. Who knows if they're going to make some trades, but you want to stay with Boston Sports Journal throughout the offseason into next season. $50 a year or $7 a month for the best Boston sports coverage in town. Best Patriots coverage by far, with Greg Bedard and Mike Giardi covering the Pats. You want to check out everything that they have to say on this game, and Greg's going to do a full postmortem when he digs into the film and break it all down for you as well. So in the coming days, make sure you keep it over there. And if you haven't subscribed, it's as good a time as any to go ahead and do so. Boston Sports Journal. Thanks a lot, Greg. We're going to let you guys know real quick before you scoot. Prizepicks, that's the place to be. And again, there's no more football, but you have basketball and hockey going on, and all sorts of different sports. And of course, you can get in on that action anytime you want. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. 2 to 6 player stat projections, mix and match sports. It doesn't matter. And it's the #1 daily fantasy picks app in America. You see the code on the screen right there, CLNS. When you download that app, play 5, get 50 instantly in your account. Once again, play 5, get 50 instantly in your account when you play Prizepicks right now. Lots of cool options. There's always free squares. Again, I joked about it earlier with Taylor. It was 0.5 yards for Drake Maye, and it wasn't looking good early, but he pulled it off. But there's great promotions. You can cash out early if you want to, cash out on your picks, before all the way through. You can, there's injury reboots. You can stack player stats if that's what you need to do. We put the tall. I got next to another tall guy.
It's a triangle.
No, it's fine. It's a pyramid. It's a triangle. Anyway, we got Taylor here. You see it on the screen. Prizepicks. It is good to be right. Code CLNS when you download that app and play 5, get 50 instantly. We got Taylor Kyles in here, and we're going to do it all over again.
Hi.
Run it again with Taylor and Mike. Taylor, we've heard a ton from you, so you're going to say nothing this whole show.
My turn.
I'm just kidding. No, you guys were first off. You guys were in the locker room.
Yeah.
General vibe, general mood from this, from talking to the players and everything you got out of that.
Yeah, definitely somber, quiet. Some guys did some scrums. Obviously no finger pointing. There was no feeling sorry for themselves. I feel like they understood what they accomplished this season, this team as a whole. We saw it all season long. Vrabel went out there. He gave them the goals at the beginning of the year. He said, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to, in the end, compete for championships, and that's what they did. Well, compete.
Do we have any sound?
Compete is a loaded word there, obviously, because they didn't necessarily compete very well tonight. At least, things got away from them towards the end. But at the end of the day, inside the locker room tonight, I think they understand what they accomplished and how things can move forward in a positive direction for them going into the next
Drake
season.
looked a little shook.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a choke up, tear in his eyes. Yeah,
emotional. I think he feels really bad.
Yeah,
he has a lot of responsibility.
And he should, damn it. No. I mean, look, you feel bad for the kid.
100%.
But he played bad. He played poorly, and he knows it. And again, just said it with Taylor earlier, said it with Greg. It's not fair to someone who's 23 years old to say, you got to do it, kid. but it had to be him. He's the one who elevated them beyond what should have been, I think, kind of more of a middling team throughout the year. He did not get it done. He wasn't great in the playoffs. They were winning, I wouldn't say in spite of him, but they were winning, and he wasn't really adding much to it. It was being won by other players and certainly by the defense and by some circumstances that were, favorable for the Patriots. And then, it was tough. It was brutal out there. The offensive line got their ass kicked. The receivers couldn't separate. There was a lot of bad going on. He had the post-superhero cape to win tonight, and it didn't happen.
I guess we do have some May sound as well.
Okay, we'll get to May in a little bit. But your thoughts here, and we'll hear from Drake after.
It is unfortunate because the way they've been winning in the playoffs is kind of like the 2001 team, where you don't have to put it all on your second-year quarterback. Right. And the defense, and the most disappointing or the most upsetting part, I guess, for the young quarterback is the defense did play well. The special teams did enough, at least in the punting game. They didn't let Rashid Shaheed beat them. And the run game was not great, but it was enough, right? Where if Drake was playing better, we would have come away with this saying it was a complimentary run game. But this is the first time that they've really been in a hole where they couldn't turn to Ramondre and say, hey, just grind out some yards for us. We may go 3 and out. We'll rely on the defense. And then in the 5-minute drill, Ramondre is going to take over and he's going to close out the game. They weren't in that position. Unfortunately, they did need Drake Maye to step up in a way that we hadn't seen since the regular season, and he wasn't able to do that. And you know what? He is a second-year player. The amount of growth that we saw from him this year was tremendous. So I don't want to lose sight of that. And the vibe that I got from the locker room, and even from hearing a lot of the podiums and scrums and things like that, was that this team, and we talked about it before I went down, that they know this is something to build on, right? This is not the end of a chapter necessarily, because a lot of these kinds of championship teams, you see a lot of veterans, right? Where it's like, you're not going to see a lot of these guys again. We're never going to have this team again. And that's true for any NFL team. But this one, because they already had their rebuild, a lot of guys that are going to be under contract. So you are just going to draft more players, add more high-end talent. And talking to people, that really did feel like the sentiment. One player in particular said, no, it's fine. Like, we know we're going to be back. Obviously disappointed, and this is it's not bittersweet. It sucks to lose the Super Bowl. But again, this was a team that blew by expectations, and now, as Drake Maye said, and again, we said it in the post game right after, that they're going to use this as fuel and something that's going to help them, just push themselves even further as they continue. And
I will say too, obviously, you never know if you're going to get back, right? And Dan Campbell said it a couple years ago with that Lions team, where this could have been our only shot. The other thing is that I guess the good angle for the Patriots is that they do have a bright young quarterback. They do have probably a little bit more some cap space again this year. They have Mike Vrabel in his first season here. So free agents are going to want to come here. Guys, I don't know about the less money aspect, but guys will want to come here and pick the Patriots unlike they would have in the last couple seasons. So you're a little bit more of a destination. I know you don't have the draft pick, but you kind of have a little bit of a foundation to build even further now.
Yeah, that's the hope. But as you said, it's easier said than done, and we've seen a lot of teams get there. And then bye-bye. We'll see you in a bit. And that's why I think, I was having this conversation with friends the other day about this whole thing is gravy. They win great, but it's not one of those pressure things. And I kind of disagreed. I felt like the Tom Brady Patriots had less pressure each time because you're like, they will be here again. Yeah. They could lose this one. They'll be back this year, the next year. This one, I don't know. I don't know what this team is really about. It's going to be a tougher schedule next year. Right. You don't know what you're going to get. You've got to retain some of your players. You've got to sign people to extensions. You might need to replace players that you thought were fixtures. We don't really know how it's going to go as of yet, but you do have Drake Maye. And that, honestly, I think is all anybody cared about when the year began. Did we get the guy? Right. And I think you feel like you did, even though he did have a poor playoffs. Let's hear from Drake Maye. As we said, he was pretty shook up after the game. Here's some Drake Maye from the podium after tonight's loss.
Yeah, it's hurt. No doubt. It definitely hurts. It's been a long ride. They played better than us tonight. They deserve to win that game, and speaking for the whole team and myself, just what a journey it's been for us. I love this team, love those guys in the locker room, and we'll leave it all on the field. And I know a lot of guys did that tonight, and just came up short. Didn't play our best, and that's what happens. Credit to them. We were moving it solid in the first couple of drives, and just have a couple negative plays that would kind of push behind the chains, and then from there we just couldn't stay ahead of the chains, and third and short we couldn't pick up some first downs. They had brought some pressure where they got us a few times. They just got to be better with the football, make better decisions, and we got to make better throws when the game is like that. I got to make some throws to help us move the football.
Drake, what plays would you like to have back?
Say that again.
What would you like to have back? What plays would you like to have back?
What I'd like to have back, I go back to the beginning and redo it. But no, there's so many plays that you can decide and change the game. I think, what is it, 19-7 or 22-7, and have to fumble or whatever, and then return it for a touchdown. There's numerous plays in the first half where I feel like I could have made a better throw or make a better decision. It really just comes down to who makes the plays and who doesn't. And they made plays tonight.
Drake, never describe what happened on the glove interception. Did you get hit in your arm? Did the ball get tipped? It just, went. There wasn't really anybody else around it. Just, do you remember that when it was?
Yeah, but two of our guys were around him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to lie. You didn't see that.
Yeah, when I threw it, hit him in the chest. Yeah, it's hard to have that sink in right now. Hopefully a lot of the same faces are here. I'm nature of the business, I know it won't be like that, but this team was awesome. Yeah, he was a heartbeat. No doubt about that. He was the reason why we're here. He was always the same, and look forward to my relationship with him for a long time. He's a great person and hell of a football coach. Man, I'm so proud. That's probably the reason I'm choked up most. This team is something that I'm glad to be part of.
You can hear it in Drake Maye's voice, a little crackly. That's my quarterback. That's my guy. He was upset, and again, rightfully so. I asked Greg this question. I'll ask you guys. Again, you couldn't have had a much better regular season than he had, and then relative to the success he had in this regular season and the level that he played, he broke every passing chart, everything that we tweeted out or people tweeted out after every game on Sunday. Upper right-hand corner, there's Drake Maye all by himself. In almost every statistical category, he was phenomenal. And relative to that performance, I don't think it could have gone much worse for him in the playoffs than it did when they had to face some difficult defenses and the expectation level and the challenges went up. Was this experience good or bad for Drake Maye's development? Is he going into the offseason as a guy who's going to be able to build on his successors, or are going to have doubts over about his failures?
I don't think there's a lot of reason to have doubts because he's in his second year, and yeah, he did play an absolute gauntlet.
We know that,
right?
But like as a mentor,
I would think as a competitor and someone who's constantly trying to be better, his perspective, I don't think he would want to go to the place, the deep dark place. The guy who can just. They always say one of the great things about him is he flushes it. Yeah. But this might be hard to flush. Well, it was the infrastructure around him, I think, will help there because he has Mike Vrabel, who said it's his job to kind of make him a leader. And one part about leadership is you can't really get down on yourself and you can't turtle. You have to say, okay, well, I have now 4 games of tape against really good defenses where I didn't play well. Here's how I can get better. And he has Josh McDaniels, who has had a lot of experience teaching one of the greatest quarterback of all time how to improve and do things like that. So I do think that the infrastructure around him is one that will allow him to kind of more gravitate towards his better instincts and really improve from this rather than have this be something that snowballs and turns into a negative.
Yeah, now he has this full offseason to reset, get healthy. I mean, that shoulder, we'll see what reports end up coming out about it. And I hate to make the excuse, and I think I saw Andrew Callahan tweet, it can't be an excuse because he was a full participant and he was taken off the injury report. So the shoulder shouldn't have been a problem. Now, you're playing the injury games and if you practice, what have you. But looking at Drake Maye, I don't think it's going to be any sort of regression. I think he goes into this next season with what he did earlier in the year and starts to build on that. Now, you look at these last 4 or 5 weeks getting into the playoffs, 3 games through shit weather in New England, 1 in Denver. That second half was just a nightmare. And then you come to this game, and he talked about it apparently with Ashton Grant saying, I can make any throw in this weather. But you go up against the Seattle defense that, frankly, we talked all week that they're a good unit. I didn't think they were this good. They were dominant tonight. They were all over him. The offensive line struggled because of it. The receivers couldn't get separation, and because of that, Maye squandered and the offense squandered. Now, the infrastructure, like you said, Vrabel, McDaniels. Ashton Grant, hopefully some more offensive line development. Maybe another weapon here. Things are going to get better around him, not worse, you would hope. So I don't think you're going to see a dip. I think you should only see him improve going into next year.
Can't get worse than his rookie year either. So he got a lot better after that.
But that was the classic rookie roller coaster of like, oh wow, that was amazing, and oh my god, no.
You know what the hell you throwing that for?
You know,
right.
like
there was a couple of those tonight too.
And there were, but that was they went into desperation mode.
Yeah, no,
and you can understand it. I'm not saying this to make an excuse for Drake Maye. I truly believe the shoulder was a significant issue, and we're going to find out after the fact. And I know people hate this because they're like, "Oh, now you're telling us you were hurt." I bet you it was legitimately.
It's like the
They had to
hockey
shoot
thing.
him up.
Yeah,
Wasn't
he mentioned
fine.
that.
well beyond the norm of like he's fine, just rub some dirt on it. I think it did bother him, but again, I think really it was credit to Seattle. It was destructive defense, unlike any that they'd seen here in terms of what they were able to do. Tackles for loss on almost every single play. I think backs got hit in the backfield almost 50% of the time that they touched the ball. And the pressure rate was 53% on Drake Maye, which is insane.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we're seeing some of these numbers come out after the game, they just keep getting more and more grisly, particularly one from Nexton. As it pertains to rookie left tackle Will Campbell, who, again, we're trying to figure out, you know, I'm sitting next to Taylor, and Taylor's Mr. friggin', 50 screens on the day, looking at everything. And I'm like, was that on Campbell? Was that on this? Was that on that? We're trying to figure out, like, was it entirely his fault? Did somebody else, the X, Y, and Z? According to Next Gen, 14 pressures. Will Campbell was responsible for 14 pressures on his own. That's the most any player at any point during this regular season or the playoffs. So that's bad. That was really bad. We saw him get beat with speed. We saw him get beat with power. You're going to spend an entire off. I would say if you were in a poll right now, Bailey, I'm curious, put up a poll right now. Do you want Will Campbell to be your left tackle or your left guard next season? I want to see what people say on this right now. It's going to be 90-10 guard. People have given up on Campbell. The amount of venom and vitriol that he's facing.
Gonna be all right?
No.
I just listen. It's not me.
This is going to be worse than the pre-draft. Will Campbell.
Will Campbell did not talk after the game. I'm not saying he refused to. He just was not available, so we didn't get a chance to talk to him. He's a pretty accountable guy.
Yeah.
So he's got to be feeling this one too. This was a really rough performance. And again, going back to the well at this position when you spend such a high draft pick is a real kick in the you-know-what. So you want to not do that. You want to see him improve. But this is going to be a really interesting offseason for Will Campbell.
It will be. And I think it's important to acknowledge that throughout the regular season was very good. And we also saw a bounce-back performance from him against the Broncos. So I don't want this one game, as hellacious as it was when you look at the stats, to be the entire story of Will Campbell's season. Because you have to also remember, he missed time because he had what did Will Campbell do?
Meniscus. MCL?
He had a significant lower body injury. MCL. So he dealt with the MCL. So I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, this was elite competition. He's a rookie, and he had a big injury. Now, also, not all pressures are created equal. I think the sack that went on him was actually on Jared Wilson, because Jared Wilson knocked the rudder into Drake Maye, and that kind of led to the sack. But again, 14 pressures is not something you can easily right away. So I don't want to kind of undermine that. But also, when we're having this conversation about, okay, you need a franchise left tackle, where are you going to get it? A lot of teams want a franchise left tackle.
No.
Most teams want a franchise left tackle. And I just think for now, the storyline should be, how can Will Campbell continue to improve?
That's what you need. You need him to get better. You don't need him to be elite. You need him to be good enough, because it's an impossible position to fill. You have to get really lucky being in a draft where you've got premium players available at the top, or else you're going to be stuck in, I think he's good enough,
Yeah.
But he might need some help, might get beat by some of the elite guys, but that's where most people live here. But he can't be a friggin' turnstile, and he can't be a reason your quarterback's getting smoked, and he can't be a reason why entire offensive game plans can get derailed. And that's where you can end up with really bad play at that position. So he has to get better.
And that's why I still think option one needed the development before
He has
just
to get
immediately
better,
kick him into
stronger.
left guard,
I saw
right?
People tweak it, and Taylor, you'll look at this more. But I saw people giving him crap over his technique, the way that he's playing, and the way that he's attacking blocks. We talked about him absorbing contact a little bit. I don't know if that's another thing of another development. It's not just strength, but it's technique.
There was one where he tried to jump set, and it looked like he tried to get to the edge rusher quickly, and then got smoked immediately because I think of that aggressiveness. So that could potentially be one example.
So
So yeah, option one, I think Campbell's your left tackle. You work in the development. And then if you somehow stumble upon another franchise left tackle opportunity, whether you find someone late, in a late round draft and they end up impressing you enough that you feel like you can start this guy at left tackle long term, then you think, okay, he's your left tackle, you move Will inside. But I don't think it's move him in and then figure out left tackle again. You need to focus on him on the side first and then kind of go from there.
Also important to acknowledge that he's never played guard before. We keep talking about this, and every time it's like, oh, switching to the other side of the line. I remember people give me so much shit.
It's easy. Everyone can do it.
And look, and I will acknowledge that it was more difficult than I thought, because some players think it's very easy, others don't. You're talking about an entirely different position. Caden Wallace is one player who I spoke to where when he went to guard, he said it's a completely different world, because usually I would kind of let people come to me and use my power, but when you're at guard, they get upon you so fast. And you would see in the preseason, he'd either be aggressive and he would dominate guys, or he would get pushed back almost instantly. It's a totally different position. So I need people to stop being so quick to say, oh, he's a left guard. Do you want to waste your first round pick on a guy who's going to be a left guard? Now he's not a good left guard. Like, you invested significant capital on him, develop him, and truly see what you have.
I want to spend that pick on a bad left tackle. I'm just kidding. No, look, ultimately, right. It's not automatic. I was thinking of I don't know if anyone knows the movie Moneyball when Brad Pitt, Billy Beane tries to get Scott Hatterberg, which was friggin' Battle super fan over here, Chris Pratt, to move over to first base. And he's like, I've never played first base. And he goes, how hard can it be? And he looks over at his sister. She's like, it's incredibly hard. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about with the guard.
Like you said, different rules, different techniques. There's someone to your left. Yeah. Like it's different. Like
it's bad when he gets bull rushed now. Imagine if the guy has like inches of space.
It's because he's athletic, and because people then the physical profile seems to fit that position better. We're at 85 or 65? Only 65 left guard on the poll. Wow. Okay. I would have thought it'd be a little bit higher.
They listen to the show enough.
I am hopeful, and I agree. You're going into next year not looking for you need more tackles, because Morgan Moses.
Yeah, you definitely need a developmental player.
So you need another right tackle, a swing tackle. You're going to need more in that position, but you need to see if Will Campbell's that guy next year. So you hope he has a really good offseason. I've said it from day one, and I'll say it through all offseason, and then on draft day, if they don't draft 100 receivers, I'm going to be really upset, or trade for one. When you look at today, you're going to say the offensive line failed them, and they did, but also you just have nobody who can make a play.
You also got to the point where they could pin their ears back. Like the second half, the score, it's not like the Seahawks didn't know what was coming.
Of course, it was not the right the right circumstances for them to have to go into we got to throw mode. But they just don't have the guys anywhere. And again, I like what Kayshon Boutte did this year. Stephon Diggs at least met, if not exceeded, expectations for what's expected of a player of his age coming off of ACL. I don't know going forward that you feel really good about any of your pass catchers beyond having guys who you like, but they're not going to flip a game for you. They're not going to make enough plays for you. They're not going to beat tough corners and tough coverage enough of the time to really give Drake Maye what he needs to kind of take that next step as well. So I'll ask you, assess the play of those guys today, of Boutte, Diggs, against this type of competition, what they were able to do or what they weren't able to do. Mac Hollins, again, he makes that, arm punt catch there, and then he ends up with the touchdown on a really well-placed ball. I don't know that you're looking at Mac Hollins as somebody who's going to come back and be a contributor for you. You might need to completely overhaul the entire receiver room, which was, strangely enough, successful this year. They played better than I think we thought they would be, but I don't know.
Bless you.
I don't know what I'm pretty concerned, and I think you need 2 new tight ends. I think you need a lot.
We'll see what happens with Hunter. Hunter has been a serviceable player for them for a while as a captain, but like you said, he's only getting older. He ain't getting any younger. Same with Austin Hooper. Hasn't been the Austin Hooper.
He's a catch it and fall down guy. He's not a powerful blocker. You can't use him as
And so weaponry that needs to improve. And I know we're going to touch on sort of what the next steps for this team are, but they got them this far. But clearly tonight they were overmatched by the Seattle defense.
Their players were better than your players. That was it.
And that's kind of where that's what it is. Vrabel said it all year. Players make the plays. The coach can only do he never said the coach can only do so much, but that's kind of what it is. And so, they had the schedule that we talk about. So they were able to kind of get through a lot of this and get to where they were tonight. Had some breaks go their way, but when it came to the best team they've seen all season long, it just wasn't enough.
And I don't want to make any sweeping judgments because this was a very zone heavy game. So it's hard to just say they didn't get separation because it's not like it was all man to man.
Right.
And there were also a ton of missed opportunities from Drake. Like we talked about it. Stephon Diggs was getting open on a crosser right before Drake kind of stepped into a sack. You have the DeMario Douglas
Henry throw, the Hooper throw,
the
one
Hooper
to Douglas.
was wide out.
How many? And that's throughout the playoffs where there were tons of plays to be made that just weren't capitalized on. So I don't want to throw this entire receiving core under the bus. But going into this game, I would have told you, they need like 2 more weapons. Like an Alec Pierce, a guy who is the Mac Hollins body type, but also is phenomenal in both speed and being able to go up and make those catches with multiple defenders in the area. That's exactly what you want for Drake because he's comfortable just going up and letting his guys make plays. In tight end, we've already been talking about it. Like, if Hunter Henry comes back, Austin Hooper can return as like a serviceable third tight end, but you definitely need a young guy who can ideally maybe not start off as a major contributor, but grow into that as we've seen. Hunter Henry usually starts the season off pretty well, but he's an older guy, and you do see he starts to kind of tail off towards the end. So if you get a younger guy, maybe he's not a huge impact guy early, but then when Hunter Henry starts to dip, he rises. So this skill position group needed upgrades anyway. A bell cow back to kind of spell Ramondre Stevenson, a guy that just never loses yards. There's things that they still needed, but I do want to say I'd like to look at the film to see just how much help they need because there are so many missed opportunities, it felt like, in this one.
We're going to cover a couple more topics, then we're going to wrap it here from the Super Bowl where the Patriots go down to the Seattle Seahawks 29-13. Taylor, Kyles here, Mike Kadlick as well. You heard from Greg Bedard earlier. Before we do that, we want to tell you about another one of our sponsors here on the Patriots postgame show, and that is our friends over at Omaha Steaks.
Meat time!
Final meat time of the season, baby.
Omaha Steaks, you know the deal by now. You head over to the website right now. You want to start the new year. I tried to urge you guys to get steaks for the cookout today. Impossible to grill back in Boston. Impossible. But even still, cooked on the cast iron, it works perfectly. But head over there right now. You want to start that new year. You want these protein-packed meals. Omaha Steaks is the place for you. Certified tender USDA steaks, the choice of restaurants and steakhouses and private chefs all around the world, professional chefs all around the world. Not just burgers. Not just steaks. You can get burgers. You can get chicken, desserts, different combo. I was watching Amit walk with that thing. Different combo meals. Lots of cool stuff right there. And you saw the offer on the screen. There's always sales on the site, but you're going to get an additional $35 off when you go to omahasteaks.com and use the code Patriots. Once again, it's OMAHA steaks.com. Omaha. Did I get it right? Omaha?
Yes.
Steaks.com. Oh, I thought you guys were. Okay.
No, we're being mean.
OmahaSteaks.com. Code Patriots, 35 additional dollars off your order. Get it today. Taylor, you said something really interesting when we did the first show, and I wanted to kind of circle back to it about Patriots had a clear game plan, which is don't mess it up. Don't turn the ball over. Wait for Darnold to make mistakes. Stay in the game. And the plan was working. Even at 6-0, even at 9-0, we were like, they can still do this.
Yeah.
They just never made plays.
I think the one bad thing for the defense was no turnovers.
Yes. Did they in the defense? They were waiting to turn Darnold over. It didn't happen. Do you think, benefit of hindsight here, that seemed to me like the smart tactic? Would another tactic have been Drake, put the cape on and go? Because you got to go bonkers. You have to make all the plays. Run, throw into tight windows, just go crazy and see if you can win us this game, because I don't think we can manage a victory against these guys. Or could you have diagnosed that earlier and said, we're going to have to get aggressive? Because they never did. There's still that series that drove me insane. I just talked about it with Greg. When Travion gets the toss sweep for 9, then he misses an opening to get a first down. Then then Drake misses pop on a 3rd and 1 pass, which was a weird call anyway, and then they punt. So conservative. At what point did they need to just try to do more and say, F it, we're going down swinging? Because it feels like they didn't go down swinging until the fight was almost lost.
Yep.
Well, I think that's because for most of the game, it was still within reach. It was 12 points until, what was it, late in the third quarter? When did the A.J. Barner score the touchdown? Was it the fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think they did what they could because the game showed you that Drake Maye was not in a position to put the cape on and just take over and be the guy to just Superman you to a victory. The offensive line wasn't holding up consistently. Drake wasn't playing his best football. And it got to a point where it's very clear that the Patriots were like, you know what? We're just going to try to control the game. We're going to wait until the defense forces a turnover. And Marcus Jones has a big return. And there were some chances for Marcus Jones. Like there was the one where he caught it and tried to fight through a bunch of guys, couldn't. Another one where he almost got loose, but then got called for a holding. So I think it's fair to still trust your team to do what they had done all season. The Patriots have been phenomenal at forcing turnovers throughout the postseason. So I didn't really have a problem with the conservative play calling because honestly, until Drake had that series with Mac Hollins, I did not think he had that in him this game because it just didn't look like that was in the cards.
And that's why it's like, then you saw it. And again, the completion before the touchdown was, just a YOLO. You know, like,
but that's the thing. It still felt like he was forcing the issue. And that drive, it kind of felt like he got lucky.
Forcing the issue. And then it was a perfectly placed ball against an extremely well-covered Mac Hollins.
Yes.
I don't think it was a sustainable. There just wasn't enough separation and there wasn't enough open guys to be able to do that. But Taylor, you mentioned like taking those profits, just put it in his hands and say, just get it moving, get it out, get it to open receivers, take 4 yards, take 5 yards, take 3 yards. You don't like it? Go right away. Go. I felt like he just hung in the pocket waiting for something to happen for so frigging long. And I wonder how much of that was them saying, sit there, wait for it to develop. I don't care if you get sacked 8 times. Just don't put it into tight windows and don't turn it over. And that's all we cared about. It felt like you were managing a lesser quarterback than who Drake Maye is. And that's what's disappointing to me. I'd love a sliding doors opportunity to see one game where they just say, go be Josh Allen. Right. And then a game where they played it close to the vest and Drake played a cleaner, tighter game.
Yeah, and I feel like both sides just trying to slow the game down. I mean, you saw it earlier.
Even Seattle didn't have faith in Darnold.
No, the whole time.
Clearly.
Even when they got up big, they were still being conservative, and they only hit that, the touchdown pass to Barner, which was essentially, that slip right underneath. He had him wide ass.
It was a really good play call, to be honest.
Play call. So Kubiak, by the way, officially going to the Raiders. He mentioned that today. So ends it. Yeah, and
that's why Tom.
Yeah, right. That's why there was no dog, and he did have a dog in the fight. It's his new head coach. But no, I guess maybe get a little bit more aggressive. But it felt like you said they were kind of trying to be aggressive, and instead of taking the profit, he heard, okay, let's be aggressive, and I'm going to try and wait for something to develop. That was never there, and then he gets sacked 6-7 times.
Say again, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL who threw as many deep passes as he got. Yeah. Well, I feel good with the ball in his hands, just finding guys here all over the place. It just didn't happen at all. I don't know what they were hoping was going to happen. Running receivers out there against superior defenders or against zones where there were more people out there covering than you were sending out on routes. With pressure coming and waiting for routes to open up and develop downfield, like what was the plan?
I feel like I mentioned this. I think it's just the maturation process for Drake, where you just need to have a feel for the game. And if it's like they are not giving me anything downfield, he has the arm to turn anything to a big play. And we've seen that, like the Mac Hollins play. Rick Woolen, I was saying, I do not want him throwing deep against Rick Woolen. We've seen him not have success throwing deep against guys like Kamari Lassiter and Pat Surtain. But he can make those plays. But at the same time, sometimes you do just need to be like, you know what? If I hit my back foot and I don't like it, I'm just going to go to my check down. Like sometimes you just need to get that so your offense can get something going. You get yourself into scoring territory, and the playbook is a little bit more friendly. But I just never felt like he had a very good grasp of the game of when to get aggressive, when to be smart.
Something to happen.
I felt like only their first maybe 1 to 2 times they felt like they were on schedule. Besides that, they were always playing from behind. They were in second and 7, even second and 13, 14 at some point, getting sacked on first down like that. Like it just can't happen. And you said it shrinks the playbook. It doesn't allow you to open things up much more. And again, that just put them in disadvantageous position the entire game.
It was the negative plays throughout. Right. I think there was a point where I said that in the first half, I think they had one drive that didn't have a negative play. You can't survive that way, especially against this team. Like if they had the 12 points, I would have been like, oh, the Patriots are going to be in good shape. If you told me they had a negative play on almost every single drive in the entire game, I'd be like, oh, they definitely aren't going to win this one.
Right. And that was, one of the May stats that people pointed to about, why he didn't deserve MVP was the amount of sacks he took this year. However, his sack yardage for the amount of sacks he took was extremely low because I felt a lot of the sacks he took was, there's nothing here, I'm going to duck, take it. and just
Okay.
2-yard loss, 3-yard loss, whatever it was. The first 3 sacks he took were all 10-yard sacks.
Yes.
And that the drives are over. Yeah, toss him. Go ahead, do your thing.
You're good.
Just not on our equipment. Okay, it's getting
That scared the shit out of me.
stuff.
That's our cue.
Garbage is falling from the sky.
It's so bad here. The garbage is falling from the sky. Oh
We
my
got to
God.
get out of here.
Garbage is
We
falling
got to move
from
that
the
flight up
sky.
tomorrow, Amit.
This is
Get us out of here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. I was just scared the hell out of me. Anyway, too many losses. The 10-yard
Yes.
sacks. It killed any drive, any potential momentum. The amount of 3 and outs. I don't even want to go back and
I
look.
lost count.
It's so depressing, the amount of 3 and outs. But again, defensively, they were holding on. So again, we talked about we got to give the defense some of its flowers, and a little bit with Sam. They're a little fortunate Sam Darnold missed as many throws as he did, thankfully for that. But
The pressure was part of that too. He was feeling a lot of those misses
were
were
able
when
to
they
get
were
some pressure.
blitzing
They
him.
blitzed a lot.
Yeah.
They were trying to get home. 50+% blitz rate in the first half there. I think they blitzed on like 53, 56. Anyway, again, heading into the offseason here, do you feel better about some of the players? You feel better about where they are from a defensive standpoint as they head into the offseason with some of the players they have? Because they have players. They got players certain places where you didn't necessarily think were positions there. You talk about Woodson, phenomenal freaking
Oh
game.
my gosh,
You know,
yeah.
tonight.
he played a terrific game here. You know, we talked about guys who stepped up in Spillane's absence, the linebacker position. There, you thought that was a huge area of need where they turns out you actually have a little bit of depth there, and those guys played pretty well. How do you feel about the defense as a whole coming back next year? With the pieces that they have in place.
I feel really good because I thought this was the kind of test really wanted to be the
You
main.
still need the edge help, but
right.
yeah.
And you got an aggressive quarterback like Sam Darnold, and obviously Jason didn't. I don't believe he finished the game, but when he was in the game, they did a really good job defending him. There was at a halftime, he had like 1 catch for 4 yards or something like that. So I came into this thinking, all right, this test, let's see if this defense really does live up to the postseason hype, and I think they did. Now you still need a premier edge rusher. You could really use some young depth at linebacker, a cornerback. I would like another safety, frankly, because I do not like them living in a world of base when they go up against a 2 tight end offense like this. And there were times where you saw them exploit it. Like one of JSN's slant routes was one where they were in base and it just thins out the second level and creates those huge voids. Whereas if you had another safety, at least you have some athleticism and a little bit more coverage reaction there. So they still need depth. And I think the biggest starting position they need is edge rusher. But if you sign Jalen Hawkins, almost your entire defense is probably coming back unless somebody throws a bag.
Yeah, you got Marcus, you got Chase on, then you're going to need to extend Gonzo.
And I was just going to say that he earned it tonight as well.
Oh my
I mean, he earned it throughout the entire second half of the season. We talked about him being a
He's gonna
potential
get paid.
trade chip on the
Marcus
show.
is going to get paid.
On the
And
show.
he deserved that conversation. Was warranted at the
100%,
time.
but he's turned the corner ever since
For
then.
sure.
He played unbelievable down the stretch. Mike Vrabel said after the game that he's, he reiterated one of our best players. He holds himself even more accountable than anybody else. And you saw it tonight. He made some unbelievable plays, a couple pass breakups. The deep on Shahid was insane.
God.
The near interception on the post to JS in the end zone, would have been nice for him to come down with that. But still, he was dominant throughout the entire second half of the year.
But you need more, and it's what
Sure.
we're going to come down to when you look at this team and you're going to kind of do the autopsy. You're going to see that some guys played well and they were serviceable and better than you thought, and good depth pieces or good plug and play starters. But the amount of playmakers that you see that Seattle has, or that a team like the Philadelphia Eagles had on the defensive side of the ball last year, you've got your Gonzalez, you've got your Barmore.
Williams was a beast today too.
I meant your Milton
Yeah.
Williams. You're hoping to see Barmore return to his peak level as well. But both sides of the ball, there's simply not enough difference makers on the Patriots, and they're going to have to make some big splashes, some big moves this offseason. Hit on the draft, get aggressive in free agency, maybe make a trade. But yeah,
And this is when you do it. It's year 3 of Drake Maye on his
year
rookie
3 of a
deal.
rookie
This literally
contract.
is when you push your chips in and you're
Exactly.
like, all right, time to spend the big
This is
money.
the year.
And then you got to obviously hit on your draft picks for long-term development. But yeah, this is the year where you really take like a Max Crosby or something like that. Hopefully it's not too much draft capital, but yeah, this is that offseason.
you do have to take a look. Guys, any final thoughts before we wrap it up here from Levi's Stadium, before any more trash falls from the rafters?
I do want to say thank you to everybody at home
Hell
for
yeah.
watching. This has been one of the coolest years of my entire life. All of you guys have been incredibly supportive, especially, I mean, the team's winning, so it's a lot easier to be positive. But I just want to, give all the praise to you guys. We wouldn't be here without you, and love you all.
Yeah, incredible stuff. The Pats Daily crew, the Pats Postgame crew is truly across the country. We saw fans in Denver. We saw fans out here in Santa Clara pulling me and Taylor aside saying, that you watch our stuff. So we truly appreciate that. As far as the Patriots, I think, the schedule talk, it was the schedule talk. But I think at the end of the day, they were incredible this season. They were opportunistic when they had to be. They made it all the way to the Super Bowl, fell a little bit short. It's too bad, but they did build a foundation for this team that hopefully they can continue moving forward to more success.
I will say to all of you guys, again, thank you. Reiterate it. Keep it here. Keep it in a tight circle for the next couple of days. It's going to be really rough. Don't venture too far out, okay? Like, close your blinds. Don't turn on national media. Don't text your out-of-town friends. Like, maybe stay off social media.
Turn off the Sports Center alerts.
The fake May stuff and the haters and all of that is coming out in full force. I'm sure it's out right now. The frauds and this and that. You can't be frauds if you weren't supposed to get here in the first place.
Bingo.
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, right. we knew they weren't. We knew they weren't that team. We knew that they could have possibly pulled this off, but nobody was deluded in believing that this was an elite or a complete team yet. But they got here, and you should feel good about that. But hide from everybody. This is what I do after
hide. Watch out for the trash.
I got so annoyed with so annoyed with my friends who was fuck May and Campbell and McDaniels, and I was like, guys, I'm tapping. I'll talk to you in a few days. Gone.
I tweeted Vrabel's first quote from his presser today. The first response I got was he should be fired tomorrow. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
So fast.
Just rage. Okay. Rage for a minute.
Sure.
Put it into perspective, but avoid everyone else because they're going to pull you into it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to make you angry or let it go. It was good. This was a great year. We're at the freaking Super Bowl.
Hell yeah.
And tough loss, tough way to end the season. But again, thank you guys. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Mike. Thank Rich LeMay, our super duper social media guru, our photographer, our videographer. Thank you to Amit, who does it all, who had the worst day imaginable today. Literally. Amit was in jail.
Take it right at the shell.
Let me see a yellow.
They wouldn't let him go anywhere. Amit called me 27 times today and then butt dialed me another 40. Just
he's literally setting voice notes. I'm at your butt dialing.
Please stop butt dialing me. Please stop butt dialing me. And all I could do when it pick up is just hear him arguing with someone with a yellow jacket. I have voicemails of Amit like, bro, I'm supposed to be here. They told me to be here. But thank you, Amit. Thank you to Brian Hines and Alex Barth for all the crossover work throughout the year. That's terrific. Thank you, Bailey Kennedy, and thank you, Harrison McGlashan back home producing. Those guys were working all week long while we were out here.
Hell yeah.
Indefatigable. Great work. Great stuff.
Say that word? I never knew that's how you say it.
Really, really, really great stuff. And a great week in San Francisco for us, despite the loss. We had a really good time, and we enjoyed bringing you content all week from Radio Row, and then again here from the Super Bowl on this Super Bowl Sunday. So it wraps it up. These guys will have a little postmortem tomorrow as they're stuck here for a few more hours. Yeah. They don't fly out till later. So tune in tomorrow. We'll have a little bit more from Taylor and Mike. And then stay with us throughout the offseason. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great storylines to cover. And we're into it fast. The Combine's later this month, so we're going to hit it. Taylor's going to start with his draft profiles now.
I already started. On the way down, I started looking up Caleb Downs just so I could learn some names.
He's getting into it fast. We got to get moving with that stuff. So we're in it. That's
Combine coming up.
That's the best part when you make it this far is all of a sudden you're in it, and we're gonna go. So stay here on Patriots Press Pass. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Shout out once again to Prizepicks, #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. Download the app, code CLNS, play 5, get 50 in your lineups, and of course Omaha Steaks. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use the code Patriots, get $35 off. Thank you guys for tuning in all season long. We're going to wrap it here from Santa Clara. For Taylor, Kyles, Mike Kadlick, I'm John Zannis. We'll see you guys very soon. But again, tomorrow for these guys throughout the offseason.
Let's do it.
Take care.
Love you.